This video is sponsored by Phoenix Phalanx cards. If you need supplies of singles or splits for Cardfight Vanguard, especially the ones in the video, do check out Phoenix Phalanx cards today, and as a bonus, use the promo code MetaNerd to get an amazing 5% discount. And with that being said, let's get on with the video. Greetings YouTube, welcome back to the MetaNerd channel. I am Marcus, bringing you another video for Cardfight Vanguard Overdress. In this video, we'll be going through the notable support for both Bastion as well as Youthberk, the two more prominent deck in Keter Sanctuary for DBT09. Although Peanut Butter Dragon has been getting quite a sizable support, and it's actually very scary in terms of his synergy with the support that he actually gets. But then again, due to the huge paywall that Peanut Butter has at the moment, most people will just tend to go for Youthberk as well as Bastion. Although Bastion is slightly less popular than Youthberk because Youthberk is Youthberk, he's just disgusting. But needless to say, we are gonna expecting like a new grade 3 Bastion on the horizon. So I think it's a very nice entry point if you do want to play Bastion. Although of course we still do not know what the new Bastion is gonna do. Most probably is gonna revolve around having grade 3 rearguards once again. So without further ado, let's take a look at what each of the edgy boys gets their support for DBT09. Now before we actually get into Bastion as well as Youthberk cards, there are of course a few support cards that we need to, take a look before we even dwell into them. We actually do get some general support which does affect each and every nation. The first one of course is we actually do have a brand new effect Q triggers. Auto, when this unit is put on Guardian Circle, if your Vanguard's grade is less than your opponent's Vanguard grade, this unit gets shield plus 10 until the end of that battle. Instead of like a 25k meaty shield, we actually do get a 20k heal trigger, which is actually very nice. It's of equal value to the heal triggers in V series, so I guess it's kind of nice. But due to the fact that this is like checking whether or not your Vanguard grade is less than your opponent, what this means is that if you are going second, you actually do get this heal trigger skill off most of the time. You still could trigger the shield effect for this card if you go first, provided if of course your opponent is a grade 4 deck, or the grade 10 that we recently get. So it's basically made to counter those decks. But then again, as to how much is this card is going to counter, we still do not know as of yet, because it's still a little bit iffy. And one thing to keep in mind here is that it's a 10k base shield value, so it's come back down to the original question that we have when we actually do get the old effect heal trigger, is that do you want the 15k base raw shield, or do you want like a situational 20k shield but 10k shield most of the time? In my opinion, this effect heal trigger is slightly better than the other two, because the other two, some deck just doesn't trigger that shield bonus, which means that the whole game it's just going to be a 10k shield base, whereas this one is going to be a 20k most of the time, I would say, depending on what deck you're facing. So it's a very nice effect heal trigger. But then again, it is still subjected to what the meta is, and of course each and every nation do get them. So do pick this up. I would say at least 4 copies should be fine. And of course, if you do have multiple decks, then go ahead. Moving on. The first one is a normal order card, Resound Phalanx. Play this with 1 counterblast if you have 5 grade 2 or less rearguards. Second skill, your opponent puts all of their front row rearguards on the bottom of your deck in any order. I'm putting this card here is due to the fact that this card does have like, a very nice board control option for Keter Sanctuary. Maybe not so much for Bastion, but the other right decks within Keter Sanctuary could potentially use this. It's a very nice control option, mainly to counter Overdress and cross Overdress stuff, but I don't think you will want to play this. But still, it is a very notable support card moving forward into the future. Of course, we do not know when these cards are going to be great. For example, Drilling Angel is the main example of a rare card turns out to be a very stupidly stapler rare card within Keter Sanctuary. I do see some value in using this card inside one's deck, but still, it's still highly depending on what the support surrounding that deck looks like. Next, we have Resentment Dragon, the double R for Keter Sanctuary. Although when this unit is placed on rearguard by a card's ability, costs Soul Blast 2, counter charge 1, and this unit gets 5k until the end of turn. Who does not love counter charge? This card within Keter Sanctuary, not only is it generic, it's actually very easy to proc due to the support that Keter Sanctuary has, that actually Superior calls stuff. The best example is the previously mentioned Drilling Angel. Drilling Angel is by far one of the most successful rare card that Bushiroad ever designed, because not only does he gives you soul, he potentially gets you the same card that was put into the soul from the top deck. Be it it's only an RNG, but hey, if it procs, you get a counter charge one. And not only that, it's technically a soul blast one, because Drilling Angel actually gives you that soul. So it's actually very, very nice. I mean, this is only one card that actually superior calls. We have a lot of cards that superior calls from the deck, be it the top deck or directly search for it. Yeah, it's actually very, very nice card to have if you find yourself running out of Counterblast, that is. So the 15k attacker is a very, very nice bonus, but keep in mind here, after the turn that you call this card, he's basically dead. He's basically a 10k base rearguard, so you know, not really that great, but he's basically there for you to continue pay the cost of your skills if your deck do use up a lot of Counterblast. It's a very, very nice card. The last card before we actually go into Youthberk and Bastion support is Gloria Storm Dragon. Active rearguard once per turn. If you personal right this turn, cost Counterblast 1. Your opponent put all of their rearguards in the same column as this unit on the bottom of his or her deck in any order, and this unit gets 5k power until the end of turn. If your personal right is active, even if you activate personal right except on normal right. So it's a 15k attacker with some board control. It's a very, very nice card in terms of if you want to move towards like a board control style of a Keter Sanctuary deck. I mean, in recent days, Keter Sanctuary is moving more and more towards like a board control deck, but instead of retiring them, they actually put them to bottom deck, which counters quite a bit of decks. For example, Zorga, and of course cross Overdress and Overdress. This card, although it is a very, very nice 15k attacker with board control, it is however very, very late in activation because of the personal right restriction. Now the reminder text at the bottom here is due to the fact that we have Minerva's Bathwater, so you know, it's basically there to remind you that even if you don't ride this turn and you activate Minerva's Bathwater, it is still considered personal right, if I'm not mistaken. This is basically to explain or prevent some people from rule shocking. So you know, if I misinterpret this, feel free to leave in the comment section that saying, hey meta nerd, you're wrong. But the bigger question here for this card is that whether or not you have space to run this. With this support that actually revolves around you controlling the board, it actually synergizes really well with the grade 10, because you do want to stall out the game until you reach turn 6. Only then you're able to activate the over trigger, which makes sense now why they introduced this card. I mean, each and every nation does have some sort of this card. I think it's really great, but at the same time, I'm really scared. Now, moving on to the actual Bastion as well as Youthberk support. Knight of Heavenly Signs. I'm not pronouncing that name. Although when this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, if you have a Vanguard with Bastion in its card name, choose any number of your grade 3 or greater rearguards, move them to Guardian Circle, and all of the move units get shield 5k until the end of that battle. Yeah, so it's, I would say, a very slightly underwhelming defensive unit for Bastion. Let's focus on the positive first. So you could potentially like move all of your grade 3 rearguards as a shield. You could potentially like intercept every single grade 3 rearguard that you have as meat shield for a beefy 25k shield. But then again, you're retiring your full board just to basically throw out a 25k shield. And of course, including this card is going to be a 30k shield in total, which could potentially guard most things. And not only does it reach its 30k shield, this grade 3 in particularly could increase the shield value even further. So it's basically like a last ditch effort for you to survive like a one stupidly high power attack. So it's decent, but at the same time not really that great. Why I say this unit is not really that great is due to the fact that it's a grade 1. As we all know, Bastion wants to play with grade 3, so this grade 1 doesn't really do that for Bastion. But since we already know that a new Bastion is coming already, I mean, it's not confirmed, but we can speculate because, you know, every single boss unit until now, Nirvana Jiva as well as Aveyaman's Bruce is confirmed, so the next logical one, it should be Bastion. So until the new Bastion comes, this card might not be played, but still really nice defensive unit. It's a last line of defense. Next is Decisive Heavily X Delibere. Auto Rigor Circle. When this unit attack or boosted attack hits the Vanguard, look at up to 7 cards from the top of your deck, search up to 1 card named with Bastion in its card name, reveal it to your opponent and put it into your hand. And if this unit is on your back row, retire this unit. So a consistency unit in getting your Bastion copies, particularly for Bastion Bastion Prime, because Bastion Prime requires you to discard or Soul Blast a Bastion card from your hand in order to restand the full board. But not only that, it's actually a personalized searcher as well, because it only says Bastion, so you know, you can search out regular Bastion for personal writing the next turn, which is very, very nice. This leads me to speculate that new Bastion might be using copies of himself as costs similar to what Bastion Prime is doing, but of course this is just purely speculation. This card, I think it's not bad, but it's gonna leave some people having, like, you know, question marks on their head, like, why is the support here? But I think it's here to support future grade 3 Bastion, if you ask me. The current Bastion, I don't think need this, but if you can squeeze in this card, I think it's okay. Next, for the triple R, Brave Sky Trimmer Rondahlia. Active Vanguard. If you have a Vanguard with Bastion in its card name, cost put this unit into your soul. Choose one of your Vanguard. It gets continuous Vanguard circle. All of your grade 3 rearguards gets boost until the end of turn. Second skill, active soul. Cost put this unit into your drop. Choose one of your grade 3 rearguard and it gets boost until the end of turn. So it's basically like a Dark Strain Dragon, but instead of soul blasting 2, you basically put herself into the soul to give every grade 3 rearguard on the board boost, which is quite nice. But the difference between this card and Dark Strain is that she needs to sacrifice herself, meaning that you will need to throw down another card in order to have a rear guard, because she is a hard -1. The moment you call her down, you need to put her into the soul to give the Vanguard the skill for every grade 2 rear guards to boost. So you are minusing 1 rear guard already. Dark Strain remains on the field, but of course you soul blast 2 to give everything, but you do have a 13k body on the field, unlike this card. But then again, the appeal of this card is the second skill. Even if that one turn ends, she is still able to give like a grade 3 rearguard a boost by soul blasting her, which in my mind, it's very, very nice. So of course, since this is a triple R, most probably the new Bastion once again might be playing with a lot of grade 3s, but who knows? They might just turn in 180 and focus on grade 0s. I'm just kidding. Any new grade 3 that was called after you activate the first skill will still get the boost, because it's basically giving the continuous skill to Vanguard. And since continuous skill affects the whole turn, so any new rearguard that you call after you activate Rondahlia is able to get the boost effect. So very, very nice. It's a very nice tag unit, but probably won't be running her at 4, because other than provide some utility, she's not helping as much, if you ask me. Moving on to Youthberk, we have Destruction Dragon, Dirgeroar Dragon. Although when this unit is discarded from your hand during your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Youthberk in its card name, cost Counterblast 1, choose one of your opponent's rearguard and put it at the bottom of their deck. So more support that actually activates their skill on discard, which is essentially Youthberk. So by paying 1 Counterblast, you're able to basically send one of your opponent's rearguard to the bottom, which for certain decks is quite detrimental. Totally not Nirvana. If you didn't get that as a joke, I don't know what to tell you. The only problem for this card is that, are you gonna run this card over Wayward Angel? I don't think you want to run anything other than Wayward Angel if your deck does discard. So, you know, Wayward Angel has more value, and it uses 1 Soul Blast instead of Counter Blast, which is the more precious resources that we have currently in Vanguard. So it's a big question mark, but then again, this is a common, so you can run this, but as compared to Wayward Angel, no, I don't think you want to run this at all. But it's a very nice card to control the board. Next, we have Knight of Vanquish Bows, Sflit. Auto background center rearguard circle. When your Vanguard is placed on Vanguard by Overdress ability, stand this unit, and this unit gets 10k power until the end of turn. It's a 5k base, yes, so quite a interesting base power. I guess it's there to basically nerf a little bit, but at the same time, it's not really nerfing that much. So it's a 15k booster after you Overdress, which will make the whole column a 28k without any further skills. Of course, Overdressing does give you like a small amount of power. I know Tempest does give the front row 5k, and Gus gives a 10k to himself, and of course Zess is a 15k, so you do the math yourself. It's a very, very nice unit that basically acts as a double booster. The first booster, of course, is just going to be a 5k. The second time is he's going to be a 15k, which is very, very nice. If you do want to run this card, you might need to adjust a little bit in terms of what your board is going to look like, because most of the time Youthberk players tend to put Sequina, the great one that basically gives whatever Overdress the 1 drive, at the back of Youthberk. Since this card always wants to be at the back row center rearguard circle, Sequina might need to put in the left or right column, which means that one of your rearguard column is gonna lose the booster, if that makes sense. Of course, if you don't want to run this card, it's still perfectly fine. Youthberk is broken as he is right now. So there's really no point to play this card, but if you want to, some adjustment needs to be made in terms of, you know, the Sequina placement. But with the next card, this adjustment does make sense. Knight of Plowing Dolbraig. Auto front row rearguard circle. When your Vanguard is placed on Vanguard circle by Overdress ability, choose one of your Vanguard and it gets 5k power until the end of turn. Auto rearguard circle. When this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, costs Soul Blast one card with Revolve form in its card name, and this unit gets 10k power until the end of that battle. A very meaty attacker. This card is basically there to help with the Sflit situation, because one of your column is gonna lose a booster. But it doesn't really matter if the front row is this guy. He is such a big attacker by himself, provided if you have the resources to actually use his skill. It's basically making that whole Sflit as well as Sequina shenanigans irrelevant. So he is a 20k to 30k attacker by himself and could potentially go up to 35k at least, because, you know, due to Tempest giving the front row power. And of course, I forgot to mention this, the 5k to the Vanguard is always nice, because the bigger the Vanguard after you Overdress, the better it is. 5k to the Vanguard, definitely a plus. Luckily, this card is restricted behind attacking a grade 3 or greater unit. Otherwise, this card is gonna be super stupid. But since you do need to Soul Blast one Revolve form, I guess it's quite okay. If you find yourself run out of Revolve form in the Soul for some reason, you can definitely use Drilling Angel to put back the Revolve form back to Soul for, you know, the skill. Like I said, Drilling Angel is the most broken card within Keter Sanctuary. Very, very nice attacker and does synergize well to what Bushi wants Youthberk to go to, which is broken. And that is all for this video. Do let me know down in the comment section on what do you think of all these broken-ish Keter Sanctuary support. Not so much for Bastion. Personally speaking, I am very, very hyped for Bastion because I do see some potential in Bastion, but for Youthberk, I'm actually worried. That deck just pluses too much, if you ask me. Do like and subscribe if you like this video, of course, during the bell notification icon so that you don't miss a video I upload. With that being said, I'll see you all on the field.